In my last episode, I told you the story of going from a performance improvement plan to a promotion in just 6 months. On paper, it sounds like a neat little comeback story, but after recording that episode and really sitting with it, I realized something really important that I left out. That PIP was never really just about my performance at work. It was pressing on something much older and much deeper. It was pressing on years of feeling judged, disposable, and never quite enough, no matter how hard I tried. So let's talk about the week that resurfaced all of this. All right, recently I hit another point of burnout at work. I won't go into the details because this isn't about blaming my company or dragging my boss on the internet. It's really not. I'm grateful for my job. I love my boss. I'm grateful that I get to work in tech and support my family. But what I want to talk about is what happened in me. I could feel that familiar pressure rising again. I have to hold everything together, and if I mess this up, I'm going to lose this place. I'm too much. I'm not enough. I'm replaceable. So I did something that earlier versions of me would not have done. I pulled my manager to the side and I had a real vulnerable conversation with her about how burnout I was and how my mental health was being affected. I talked to her about my daughter being able to recognize that burnout and to call me on it. I told the truth calmly without blowing up and without pretending that I was fine. And after that conversation, I found myself asking, why does this feel so big? Like, why does this feel so much more than just a job stress thing? Like, why does it feel so catastrophic? The answer was in my story. The first pips didn't come from a company, they came from my childhood. I grew up in a home where love and safety were never guaranteed. My mom was married 5 times. I've mentioned this in previous episodes. My dad was married twice. We moved constantly. We had no money. We were the black sheep of the extended family. My first stepdad was my first introduction to physical abuse. And I can still remember being hit with a vacuum cleaner cord and thinking, if I can just be good enough or quiet enough or perfect enough, then maybe this will just stop. Maybe I'll be safe. That is a performance plan, not on paper, but in your nervous system. Do better, be better, or things get worse. So later, when my mom decided to move to Texas with a new husband and all of the kids, including his, my brother and I decided to live with my dad instead. I don't know why, because my dad was never around when we were younger. Like, he was like this guy that just showed up and gave us $100 for mom and then left for months at a time. We were desperate, though, for something stable, and we didn't want to move in with this stranger and his kids. We lasted one whole semester, and then my dad got a new girlfriend, much younger, who just didn't like kids. She didn't have kids, she didn't like kids. She didn't ever want kids. And just like that, we had to go. The line he used, and he'd been saying this for years, was, "A girl needs her mama." And on the surface, it sounds noble, but what it wrote in my body was this: it does not matter how helpful you are, how good you try to be. You are always one choice away from being sent away. That was another performance plan. Try harder, be easier, don't rock the boat. Maybe then you'll get to stay. So, fast forward to college. If you listen to my testimony in episode 1, if you haven't, I highly recommend hearing that one. But you would know this part. I was drinking a lot, trying to fill that emptiness I had with alcohol, attention, validation. I got a DUI, lost my license, lost my job, lost my car. The house became the party house. I was assaulted while highly intoxicated, frozen again, just like that 15-year-old girl in the truck. And eventually I hit rock bottom. I tried to take my own life. I took a handful of pills, called my mom to say goodbye, and I woke up in the back of an ambulance on the way to get my stomach pumped. After the hospital, I was involuntarily committed to a psych ward. Baker acted. My dad drove me there, and for years afterward, all he wanted to talk about was not how scared he was to lose me, but about the jacket that he had loaned me for the trip and how I left it behind. He brought that up for 20 years after that, probably. Do you hear the message a girl learns in those moments? Your pain is inconvenient. Your survival, up to you. And if you want to matter, you better earn it. Rock bottom felt like the ultimate failed performance review. You tried to be enough, you weren't. Here's your punishment. So, years later, decades later, when I sat in a corporate meeting being told I was on a performance improvement plan, it wasn't just about the metrics or the attitude. It landed on all of that history. It landed on the little girl who tried to be perfect enough to make the hitting stop. It landed on the 12-year-old girl being sent away because a girl needs her mama. It landed on the college girl in the psych ward, learning that even at rock bottom, she was on her own. That's why a PIP felt so much bigger than a piece of paper, a document, a 6-month plan. It was one more voice saying, "You're not enough. We'll see if you can fix it in the next 90 days. If not, you're out." So, yeah, I did the work. I owned my shit. I owned my attitude. I stopped phoning it in. I showed up like it was my choice to stay. And within 6 months, I was promoted. New role. They created a role for me. Bigger paycheck, more responsibility. But here's what I want you to hear. The real promotion is moving from a life where I'm always on emotional probation with men, with parents, with bosses, with God, with myself, to a life where I know deep down that I'm allowed to be here, that I'm allowed to rest, to have needs, to get it wrong sometimes without being thrown out. That is the promotion I want for you too. If you've lived on emotional pips your entire life, maybe you've never been on an official performance plan, but you've lived 1,000 emotional ones. The dad who left, the partner who betrayed you, the mom who chose a man over you, the church that only loved the shiny version of you, the job that praises your hustle and then quietly replaces you when you burn out. If that's you, here's what I want you to know. You are not a project to be fixed in 90 days. You are not on probation with your creator. You are not one mistake away from being unworthy of love. The work in this next season is not to become perfect. It's to notice where you're still living like you're on an emotional pip and slowly, gently lay those plans down, to learn how to set boundaries that protect your soul, to build a life that's honest and not performative, to believe little by little that you're enough without earning it. That's the journey I'm on, and that's the journey this podcast is about. Not just going from PIP to promotion on paper, but going from emotional probation to genuine peace. And I'm so glad you're here with me on this journey. All right. Boom. Got it. Got it. Please tell me you recorded. All right.